Picture a country designed to fail. It has no oil, no gas, no coal worth digging. It has no coastline, so no ports and no navy. 2/3 of it is mountains too steep to farm. It speaks 4 different languages, so it can't even agree on what to call itself. By every rule of economics textbooks, this place should be poor. Instead, it is the richest large economy on planet Earth. This is Switzerland. And the story of how it got rich is not the story you think you know. It's not really about banks. It's not about chocolate. It's about what happens when a country has absolutely nothing, except a reason to be clever. In the next 10 minutes, we'll trace how a landlocked patch of rock turned scarcity itself into the most valuable resource of all. Welcome to the Money Atlas. Quick thing before we dig in. If you enjoy stories that make the world make sense, subscribing is the best way to see the next one, and it costs you nothing. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with the scoreboard. $115,620. That's Switzerland's economic output per person in 2025, according to the IMF. Only 3 places on Earth score higher, and they're all microstates or tax quirks: Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, and Ireland's accounting magic. Among countries with more than 1 million people, Switzerland is simply number 1. The average Swiss person produces more economic value than the average American, German, and Japanese combined. No, but nearly double the American, and that gap has been widening for decades. Here's that gap in one chart. The United States, the richest big country in history, sits near $90,000 per person. Germany, Europe's industrial powerhouse, at 56. Japan, the country that was supposed to own the 21st century, 34. And Switzerland floats above all of them. Now here's the strange part. Every country on this chart has more land, more people, more resources, and bigger internal markets than Switzerland. So the question isn't just how Switzerland is rich. It's how Switzerland is rich when everything says it shouldn't be. Because here's what almost nobody remembers. 200 years ago, Switzerland was one of the poorest corners of Europe. The mountains that look so postcard perfect today were a prison of thin soil and brutal winters. The country's most famous export wasn't watches or medicine. It was men. Swiss families were so poor they rented out their sons as mercenary soldiers to foreign kings. Fight for whoever pays. That was the business model. The Pope's bodyguards are still called the Swiss Guard today, a 500-year-old relic of an era when Switzerland's only abundant resource was desperation. So how do you escape? Switzerland couldn't dig wealth out of the ground, and it couldn't ship cheap goods. It had no ports, and everything had to cross mountains. The only strategy left was this: import tiny amounts of raw material, add enormous amounts of skill, and export objects so valuable they justify any transport cost. Economists call it value density. A barrel of oil is worth about 65 cents per kilogram. A Swiss watch can be worth more than $1 million per kilogram. When you have no resources, you learn to sell grams, not tons. The watch was the first miracle. In 2024, Swiss watch exports brought in 26 billion francs, more than the entire economic output of Iceland, earned from little machines you wear on your wrist. And notice what a watch really is: a few grams of steel worth a few dollars, transformed by human skill into something worth thousands. That's the Swiss formula in its purest form, but watches were just the rehearsal. The real money came from applying the same trick to something people need far more desperately than the time of day: medicine. Today, chemicals and pharmaceuticals make up 52% of everything Switzerland exports, 149 billion francs in 2024 alone. And within that, Look at this line. Exports of modern biotech drugs, the antibodies and immunotherapies, grew from under 2 billion francs in 2000 to 52 billion in 2024, 27 times bigger in one generation. A single pallet of cancer medicine can be worth more than a container ship full of iron ore. Value density, again. The mountain stopped mattering the moment the product got small enough. And almost all of it flows through one unlikely corner. Basel, a quiet city where Switzerland, France, and Germany meet. It's home to Roche and Novartis, two of the 5 biggest drug companies on Earth, together worth roughly $500 billion. Why there? In the 1850s, Basel was Europe's center for textile dyes. When German chemists discovered that dye chemistry and drug chemistry were basically the same science, Basel's dye houses pivoted and never looked back. 170 years of compounding chemical expertise in one postcode. Industries don't just happen to places, they accumulate. Now for the myth we have to kill. Ask anyone why Switzerland is rich and they'll say one word: banks. Secret vaults, numbered accounts, hidden fortunes. Here's the reality check from the Swiss Bankers Association itself. Banking generates about 5% of Swiss GDP. The entire financial sector, banks, insurers, everything, 9%. Important? Absolutely. The engine of Swiss wealth? Not even close. Switzerland without banks would still be one of the richest countries alive. The banks aren't why Switzerland is rich. They're a symptom of the thing that actually is. And that thing is stability. Switzerland stayed neutral and untouched through both world wars. While every factory in Germany, France, and Italy was being bombed into rubble, Swiss factories ran without missing a shift. While other currencies died of hyperinflation, the Swiss franc just held. Money is a coward. It runs from chaos and hides where nothing ever happens. For a century, nothing happening has been Switzerland's greatest product. The vaults came later. First came the trust. Want to see how deep that trust goes? Follow the gold. Roughly 1/3 of all newly mined gold on Earth, by some estimates, up to half of all refined gold passes through just 4 Swiss refineries, mostly clustered near the Italian border. Switzerland doesn't mine a single gram. Yet when the world wants its gold purified, certified, and above all believed, it ships it to Switzerland. Because a gold bar stamped Swiss-made is trusted from Shanghai to Sao Paulo. They did to gold what they did to everything else. Import the raw, export the certainty. But here's the most copied and least understood piece of the machine: the people. At age 15, 2 out of 3 Swiss teenagers choose an apprenticeship over academic school, not as a consolation prize, as the prestige route. They spend 3 or 4 days a week inside real companies, paid, learning precision machining, lab chemistry, banking operations. By 20, they are productive experts, not indebted students. It's why Swiss youth unemployment is among the lowest on Earth, and why a country of 9 million people can staff the world's most demanding industries. Switzerland's best mine was never in the ground. It's the education system. And now the final paradox, the one that breaks economic students. Since 1971, the Swiss franc has become 5 times stronger against the dollar. A strong currency is supposed to destroy your exports. It makes everything you sell more expensive. For 50 years, Swiss goods have gotten relentlessly pricier, and Swiss exports kept hitting records anyway. Why? Because the strong franc worked like a fitness regime. Any Swiss company that competed on price died decades ago. The survivors compete on things no discount can touch: quality, precision, trust. The hard currency didn't kill Swiss industry. It selected for perfection. So can the Swiss recipe be copied? Here it is in full. Take total scarcity and let it force you upmarket, sell grams, not tons. Take a dangerous neighborhood and become its one safe room. Take an expensive workforce and make it so skilled that nobody cares about the price. Notice what's missing. There's no oil in the recipe, no empire, no lucky break. Switzerland is what an economy looks like when it's built on the only resource every country actually has, the decision to be reliable for a very, very long time. The country with nothing became the country with everything, by selling the one thing you can't dig out of the ground, certainty. If this changed how you see the map, do 3 quick things. Tap like so more people find it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And turn on notifications, because next time we visit a company that does the opposite of everything you just heard. It sells $5 chickens at a loss on purpose, and it might be the smartest business on earth. All the sources are in the description. This has been the Money Atlas. See you in the next one.